Robert, is it normal that nowadays a lot of people have coronavirus anxiety and fear?
Well, they sure do. I've been working now during this time with people all over the world. And it's been kind of a common thing. But truthfully, most of the people I've been working with don't have huge fears about the virus itself. They have been having other kinds of fears around their family, around money, finances, the economy, their businesses, things like that. So there could be just a whole magnitude of fears and anxiety related to this. Very common.
And how would you distinguish what is the difference between the word fear and the word anxiety?
Well, you know, they produce similar kinds of feelings within ourselves. But the way I would define it a little bit differently, and some people kind of interchange it, but fear, I think, stems from something very real. So something that either has happened in the past or happening. So for example, with this virus, it appears to be very real. And, you know, as time goes on, we're starting to recognize and see people even closer to us that are having symptoms and maybe being impacted by it. That becomes a real fear. And whereas anxiety would be sort of a perceived thing. So maybe when this worst was started, we heard about it in China and said, oh, this could be something really big. And some people might have had anxiety about that, not recognizing that it was really a fearful thing yet because it was isolated, because things like this happen oftentimes. Or a better example might be if we're walking down a street and we're fearful that someone's going to jump us, but it doesn't really happen. We've walked down the street a lot of times. So it's a perceived kind of feeling. Maybe real or maybe just imagined, but it causes oftentimes the same kinds of feelings.
Mm-hmm. And how does the way of our thinking create anxiety and fear?
Well, the way of our thinking, let me think about that. Well, I think that as we become more and more conscious, which is a really good exercise to do, is become conscious of what's happening in our lives and how we react to that as we become more metacognitive and thinking about what our thoughts are. I think to the extent that our thoughts are sort of negative and fearful, they breed that. To the extent that we start to evolve our thinking on our thoughts. Because every time, you know, when I'm talking to you, for example, you're talking to yourself 4 times as fast as I'm talking to you. You've got this internal dialogue going, and when I stop, you actually speed up to about 6 times as fast. So once we start to recognize that we've got these thoughts and we've got this internal dialogue going, then we can start to maybe get control of that and think about and evaluate whether something is anxiety or fear, and then we could take the appropriate steps to address those.
Mm-hmm. And are there any good sides of fear and of anxiety?
Well, for sure, they're warning signals. Our body is giving us warning signals that something is off here. Now, it could be off in that there's a real fear here. So we're just, you know, triggering our ancient mind of flight or fight. And we need to have those triggers in our body to keep us safe. So, for example, if we are walking down a dark alley and we start to have a fear, anxiety around that, well, we would look around a little bit more and be more cautious, or maybe have a partner with us, a big, strong, a bouncer kind of guy or something like that. So, yes, they certainly can protect us. They can be also debilitating to us if we carry it too far. So learning about the, first of all, the distinguishing between fear and anxiety is good, but then also learning how to deal with them and use those triggers, those warning signals in an appropriate way can be very effective for us.
Mm-hmm. And for example, is it normal the last maybe 4 weeks, I myself, maybe once a week, I have this kind of idea, what if the virus is here? What if the virus is here? What if, I mean, I have it just like for a couple of seconds, luckily, because, you know, I wash my hands and Nowadays, it's social distance, basically almost quarantine. But once in a while, it just occurs to me, and I'm not the kind of person who has a lot of fears, so I know about it because normally I'm very, very positive. So, and I know how to work with my fear or with my anxiety, being a psychologist and the coach. And sometimes I remember how I was walking on fire last year. It's in London. Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within. So it also helps. But what should people do? The people who permanently concentrate on fear, permanently focus on something very, very negative, that something will happen to them or to their families or to their business and so on.
Well, you know, and Tony says this all the time, what you focus on, you know, is sort of what happens. And so to the extent that you're focusing on the negative aspects of what could be, you know, losing business or losing health or losing family members, you know, quite truthfully, those are more likely to happen. And to the extent you can stop that, just like on walking on fire, if you focus on that fire and the coals, you burn your feet. Yes. It's when you look up and go, cool moss, cool moss, cool moss. Mm-hmm. He does that exercise because it applies to everything in life. And this is one that it can apply to too. And so, yes, use it as a warning signal. Even if it pops up once a week like it does for you, it's a reminder to wash your hands and social distancing and to be careful and wear a mask and whatever it is that your strategies are. But it can also be very debilitating if that becomes your focus, because your vibration level just comes down and your immunity system starts to diminish, and then you become more susceptible to it. So building yourself up is kind of key thing. If you allow yourself to be built down, you make yourself more vulnerable. This is a perfect example where people can use this to build themselves up.
And I have heard that such feelings and emotions as fear and anxiety, so they weaken our immune system. So simply someone.
For sure. Mm-hmm. You know, for sure. You know, if you just think about it, it's stress. Stress causes acidity in your body. And the more acidic your body is, you know, whether from stress or the foods that we take in, it just impacts our whole immunity system and makes us vulnerable to all sorts of kinds of things. And then, quite truthfully, the body is so amazing, it shows up and gives you more warnings. You know, maybe your back starts hurting, or you start having a headache, or whatever, you know, body syndromes are there to warn you that say, hey, you need to do something about this because we're warning you. There's too much acid in our body. It impacts your immune system. It impacts your health. We want to do something to alleviate that, or you suffer with it.
How can hypnosis help people to overcome fear and anxiety?
Okay, remember, hypnosis, all it is bringing you from your conscious mind into your subconscious mind. And so the value of hypnosis is rewiring your brain to be able to do the things that you want to do, things that serve you, that make you healthier. So by slipping into that hypnotic state, you can change your thoughts, you can change your feelings, you can change your reality. And so slipping into that state, we can suggest the right strategies that you want to have, that each client would want to have. And you would also put in there some healthy experiences, some visualization, some images, so that it actually drives you, so that when you're out in the real world, that you do the things that you know are already better for you and serve you. So we want to help people serve themselves rather than continue to suffer. And the suffering is a very powerful tool.
Mm-hmm. And can you tell us about any good technique or any meditation or any technique which could be used in hypnosis in order to help people to overcome fear or anxiety?
Well, actually, our school, HMI, is offering free hypnosis for everyone worldwide.
Wow,
And
that's
so
great.
yeah, so that's a very, very powerful way for people that haven't experienced it before. But just for the common person that wants to do this on their own, we're oftentimes during a day or several times during the day, we're in a hypnotic state. So when we first wake up in the morning, we're in a hypnotic state. What I mean about that, we're the most suggestible. Okay, whether we're suggestible to ourselves or to another person. Right before we go to sleep is another time, and probably periods during the day where we sort of start this kind of sit back and sort of daydream. We kind of get ourselves to this hypnotic state where we're the most suggestible. Okay, if you want to do it for yourself, probably a good way to start would be just to close your eyes, to breathe deeply, and just to imagine yourself in a beautiful, calm place. It could be at the sea, could be by the ocean, could be in the mountains, just a beautiful scene where just you are there, and you just kind of command yourself to feel feelings of peacefulness, of tranquility, and love. And while in that place, you start to imprint or suggest to your subconscious, I am confident, I am healthy, I am making good choices, I am, and a bunch of these I am statements. You know, Tony does this through incantations and yelling and screaming. Another way is just in the hypnotic state. The other thing to do is to just visualize. So visualization is a super powerful tool. It's, if you think about the Olympics and Olympic athletes in every single sport, a huge part of their training is visualization. So even like when I've seen this on TV before, when the people in the sleds are going down, they take pictures of the sled run down and they visualize that, and they can just make the moves without being on the sled run. They're just doing it in their head. The same thing applies to your health and dealing with fears and phobias and anxiety. You see yourself confidently, radiantly, joyfully, calmly, peaceful, lovingly. See yourself moving through your life with confidence and joy and all those feelings. And the more you visualize that, the more you're just rewiring your own brain to actually be that way. And you're helping yourself, you're serving yourself again, instead of allowing yourself to suffer.
This is a great technique. I do quite a number of different techniques, not only in the morning, but at other time of the day. And it really helps me.
Yeah, for sure. Because you have grown to that point. So now your audience, they're all people growing at various phases and stages. Just, you have to develop sort of that growth mindset. And once you develop that mindset, then there's all sorts of techniques and tools out there and resources out there. Then you go for those. And that's what I encourage your followers to do, is get control and grow and find the resources, because they're out there available.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure and honor.